Today on the Heart Place Hospital podcast, where we connect people, resources and heart-led healing, we're joined by Sonja, a passionate educator and healer on a mission to help people understand the root causes behind physical conditions. She's all about the mind-body connection, lifestyle as medicine, and activating true health through powerful daily choices. From healing birth trauma to overcoming anxiety, Sonja's insights inspire us to live our most empowered and vibrant life. Welcome, Sonja.
Hi, Jackie. How are ya?
Yeah, good. So good to have you. We made it.
Yeah, finally.
I'm really excited to have you on this podcast, Sonja, because I know that we're on the same radio station with this, and I also know that you and I started off in quite traditional roles. You as a teacher, me as a nurse, and so I just guess a big great place to start is a little bit of speed dating. What's led you to where you are now?
Very simply, experienced some significant past trauma as a young teenager with the passing of my brother, and not recognizing that as I got into adulthood and the way I was responding to my classroom as a teacher, I realized I was highly anxious, highly triggered, and was dealing with a lot of nervous system dysregulation. And I had a life coach that introduced me to this amazing tool called emotional freedom technique. And I started tapping on myself. And I remember the day I first did it on myself, I went, this is life-changing. There is something in this. And of course, you'll know this, once you start down that route of understanding the mind-body connection, you get exposed to so much more. And it was after that I got exposed to German new medicine, biocompass, root cause analysis of illness and disease, and have subsequently helped so many people heal from chronic conditions, as well as my own chronic eczema. So I've been on the journey of using these tools to heal myself, and now I share them with others. And it was a personal growth journey that led me to want to help more and more people.
Amazing. And it's so true. Like once you pop, you can't stop, right? Yes, it's like, what? There's more?
It never ends.
Yeah. And I love it. And I think what I always really try and emphasize is, because often, certainly with me, when I thought about healing, I always thought of what I saw on TV, lying on a couch and it being really pussy and awkward and uncomfortable. And in actual fact, that was my first initial step into. I had talk therapy and I left feeling worse and experiencing backdraft. So what I'm loving about what's in your toolkit, in your kit, is that it's not like that at all, is it? It's not messy or pussy. And then also remembering that underneath all those parts that have amazingly helped us survive, there's all this amazing wisdom and it's like a liberation, I think, is kind of what I would sense. So I would use. Yeah. It's interesting too when you talk about the past, because I have people come to me who had been through what you've been through, years of talk therapy, some progress, but still nowhere near where they could be, knowing this and recognizing this, but then being too scared to want to rehash and go over it again. And I had a client just the other day where she goes, I don't want to have to go there. I said, you don't. Let's work on the nervous system. Let's clear it once and for all. What was a trigger her whole life was within half an hour, could observe that event and go, oh, it's not even a thing anymore. So we don't need to go into the story. The story just exists. The meanings, the beliefs, all of that exists because of the way we felt at the time. And once you deal with the emotions and the triggers, those stories don't need to be there anymore. You don't, and that's like I said, sometimes I just don't need to know. I don't need to know the story. I don't need to know. And it's so interesting. The reason that I do what I do, the reason that I've created Heart Place Hospital is that there's about 80% of our frontliners, so healthcare, family systems and education are women, and the average age of them are 48, so heading into that midlife era, so ding, ding, ding. But the beauty is well, what I really want to emphasize and have a conversation with you about is that we've been kind of told a lie about midlife, and so many of us who have had these healing experiences have kind of gone, whoa, I want to tell everyone about this. Like, oh my gosh, how can I tell everyone about this? And these are the people that come to Heart Place Hospital. They're like, I can't believe this. These are the people that we want the light shone on because they have got the life experience. They've had the story, and they've alchemized that, and then they've come out the other side, and they've now got the space and the energy and the, I guess, confidence, courage to then step into these roles like you have, out of the classroom and into the healing space. Is that something you're experiencing too?
Oh, so much so at the moment, this deep recognizing that there's something more that I'm desiring to do. And there's been so much pressure to perform as women, and we're so blessed. Like I'm a childless, woman in her early 50s who gets to live the life of her choice, follow her career, and there's no judgment from society from that. But then there's so many women who have been led and fed a lie that the definition of who they are is how hard they work, how much they force, how much pressure they put on themselves, must be like a man, must push and strive to be successful. And then they're getting to this age where the body just can't hold up anymore. The nervous system has been on full throttle for so long, and they go, actually, why is my body breaking down on me? Why am I so exhausted? But then sadly blaming perimenopause, when actually it's not perimenopause, it's whatever was been going on for the last 2 decades, 3 decades and beyond. Yet recognizing, and this is why we're seeing so many women make this decision, I've got to do something differently, because the antidepressants and the anti-anxieties and everything I've been taking for and the weekly whines, they're not working. I'm exhausted, and I'm still exhausted, and I still feel like crap, and I'm still depressed, and I'm still feeling not good enough.
Yeah. And you're right that we've this is my big bone to bear is we pathologize and medicalize this, whereas in actual fact our awe-inspiring body is giving us this massive big kick in the wound and saying, hey girl, you've got a choice here. You either stick with what the BS that society keeps telling you, or you step into your true aligned soul self and show up and, like we talked about, experience that liberation that we actually are designed to experience.
And it's difficult though for so many women because of herd mentality, and to turn around and say, no, I'm not doing that, and I'm not taking the HRT, or that doesn't feel right for me, and I'm not, and the retaliation you can get from your tribe when you choose to forge that path. And I think that's what keeps a lot of women stuck, is the fear of what others will think, because we're great at wanting to fit in with the collective of what others will think when you're the one popping your head up, especially in New Zealand, because we know about tall poppy syndrome. And I'm going, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going down that mainstream medical path. I'm choosing a different route. The good thing is it's happening quite rapidly. I'm noticing it's almost becoming quite normal amongst my circle of friends. It is normal amongst many now to go, oh yeah, I go to a naturopath, I go to a kinesiologist, I get body work done, all of these things. So it's shifting. We've still got a long way to go.
Yeah, long way to go. So I'm curious what it's actually been like for you putting your head out. Like, what sort of journey have you had?
It's really interesting because I am, as a human design, I'm a projector, and I am so embodied in my truth that it's never actually once ever occurred to me to just not talk about this. Even right back when I first had the emotional freedom technique, it was never not a thing for me to do this and talk about this. The cancer conversation I've quashed a lot over the years, because people are just still very stuck in that there's only one way out of that one. But otherwise, for me, if I don't share this and potentially help someone save their life, then I'm not living my truest purpose. So I've had to be brave enough to speak up without worrying about the consequences of that. Because not everyone's going to agree with me. And yet it is amazing how many people are listening to you and watching and taking notice that you don't even know are.
That's right. I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess that's part of midlife too, isn't it? There is a dismantling, isn't there? There's a real letting go. And I know for me, and it was a real shock, like a massive shock for me, because I'd gone from, like I would go to an opening of an envelope, that's sort of, I'd go to any party, to then not going to any, but really being drawn to watching the sunrise or watching the sunset or going to dance or walking on the beach or in the forest, and I'm like, who even am I? Like, I just had never had seen any of these kind of types of conversations. And so it was like, I remember in my mum's day, it was called the change. I don't hear that so much. It was a change, like a fundamental change.
I forgot about that term because that was my mum. I'm going through the change. That was, you know, it's, to me, it's the evolution. It's the next. And for me at the moment, I've stepped into, and I'm having this conversation with my fiance at the moment. You know, I'm saying no to so much more, but yes to so many other things, just as you described. And that deep yearning to go within. Like every time I go to seek outside of myself, I just think, oh no, come back to my body and be in myself and find ways to thrive. That the big piece I think is missing in terms of finding ways to thrive during this period of life is the importance of creativity, the importance of music and dance and fun and playfulness and all of those things that I feel like it's a full circle moment where the maiden, we've been trying to live in the maiden by this whole anti-aging, experience. And yet it's the unevolved maiden archetype. And now we're going into this beautiful, the wise woman crone energy and the evolved queen and mother archetype, but also bringing the evolved maiden with us and remembering this is not an ending. This is a beginning, and you get to embody all of it. And I think the sad part that has been put into our programming is to be feminine, to be bodied in the feminine means to be weak, when people don't understand those archetypes available and the strength that comes from the evolution of each stage, and being able to tap into all of them like a fluidity, because as the feminine's fluid and it's adaptable and it's malleable and it moves with our intuition and our senses, and so much of our sensing and intuition has just been shut off and dumbed down. And if you think about this, Jackie, the very concept of birth control is to shut down that cycle, that flow. I've only just realized that now. It's cutting off our flow.
Yeah.
And shutting down that sacral energy center, which is where all of our life force comes from for women. And so now as we evolve in this journey, we're coming into that it's the womb wisdom.
Yeah.
The
totally
gift of everything that births from this place.
Yeah. And when people hear things like, when you say things like, you talked about the weekly wine, when we actually say out loud, alcohol is our number one carcinogenic. Alcohol is the number one cause of cancer, yet we've normalized it. The birth control given to an adolescent or a teenager increases their risk of depression by 80%.
Oh, it's crazy.
When you think about that, you've shut down your actual natural flow, as you called it. Of course, you're gonna feel disconnected, discombobulated, down. Isn't that amazing how our body gives us that message?
It does. And, it all came about in a time of supposed revolution, the 60s, the period of revolution and free sex and all the things. And yet, now we're learning with anything that strips us from nature, there is always going to be a consequence. There is always going to be a side effect. They're not side effects. That word side is a very cleverly developed terminology to have you think that that's just an add-on. It is an effect. You eat rotten chicken. We don't call vomiting a side effect of eating rotten chicken. We say you ate rotten chicken. That's the effect of eating it. You take the contraceptive pill. That's the effect of eating it. And I know for women who've had their wombs removed and they're not producing estrogen and progesterone anymore, that in some ways the HRT is supporting them. Yet you can't HRT your way, the other end of the spectrum, out of what is an inflammatory response and an oxidative stress response and a consequence of decades of not taking care of your body, to then think that estrogen is the problem. And again, here we are on the other end. So we were the victims of this during our 20s and teens, because I went on the pill at 15, to now coming into this age going, everyone's got the worst perimenopause symptoms. Well, look at the timeline, people. And now we think we can just flip in from that to HRT and then not be a consequence for that.
And there's a step in between too, if you choose to be a mother,
Yes.
is that actually having to medicalise becoming pregnant. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like ding, 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 people wake up.
Yeah, and the postnatal anxiety and depression, which has been here for a lot of women. I know my mother suffered with postnatal depression after my brother. She chose not to take the Prozac they offered her, and this is back in 77. It's always just been there. But again, it's that horrible, the darker side of what feminism did, which has made us so disconnected from ourselves that women are, having children later in life. And it's not a judgment, it's just an observation here, right? They're used to having careers where they control everything. They control their calendar. They control my cycle. I can switch my cycle off because I'm going on holiday to the Bahamas, And then they go to having children. You can't control how and when your baby's going to sleep.
Yeah.
It's not part of that journey. And then all that expectation of what that stage of life's meant to be like. And then they get hit with postnatal anxiety, postnatal depression. But if they were on a birth control right up until the time they tried to conceive, it's not postnatal anything. It's the decades before just accumulating and
once again, our awe-inspiring body giving us a message. That doesn't need suppressing, medicalizing. But you make a really cool point here, and I love emphasizing this, is so often when we get into community, say, I'm going to use infertility as an example, we then gather with others who are infertile. And so we just go round and round in circles around that same story. And this is what I'm loving about Heart Place Hospital. We actually bring in all archetypes, we bring in all experiences, we bring in multidimensional support so that people can have some shoulder drop moments, some ahas, reconnect with their body. You mentioned, human design. We love all our visitors being human design so that they can actually understand and celebrate themselves right from the beginning. So we can dismantle all that stuff from our industrialized educational system, and actually really see ourselves. And once you start doing that, it's like self-compassion. When you have self-compassion, it's just so easy to have compassion for others. When you have self-love, it's so easy to have love for others. It's a no-brainer. But I think that's why it's really important that we start gathering in circles of all different ages, all different experiences, so that we can actually just take those breadcrumbs that are resonant to us. And I mean, that's another learning as well, is how do I know what's resonant? Where does it, and once again, it's your body. Once again, it's your body.
That's why I always advocate for a lot of my clients, those who have never done any healing work before, and I'm talking to them, I'm saying, you're not quite ready for this work. And I will send them to the kinesiologist I use down here, because kinesiology is just the master tool for understanding what your body needs and when it needs it and what it needs. And I just find that, I've tried everything and anything. I swear to goodness, I'm always dipping my toes in, because I know what works for me may not work for another person. But then I'd love to be able to go, and this is why Heart Place Hospital is such a powerful resource, because it's offering all aspects. And, we talk about the mainstream system is not treating people holistically. It misses the whole fact that each and every one of us is a fingerprint with such different DNA, environmental triggers, mindset, emotions, imprints, the way we perceive the world around us. And so if you're not taking all of that into consideration, how are they supposed to heal? And yet the reductionist approach of the mainstream medical is, you're all the same, and here's this one medication for you. To me, the logic of it is just insanity. When you lose the blinkers come off, and you go, what?
I know, you can't unsee it anymore, can you?
No.
But I mean, you brought up a good point as well, as we are herd mentality, and so we actually need to create the herd as well. And because we've seen so much division over the last, more so over the last 5 years, but our whole lifetime. And so I bring it back to community. And when we've dropped that division, you're right, I'm wrong, we actually bring back to what is real for me. What is real for me? And sometimes, and I'm like, no judgment at all, some women have to CPR and take on a pharmaceutical so that they stay out of prison.
Absolutely.
You know, so I'm like, if it keeps you out of prison, babe, do it.
Yeah, and we talk about that stepping stone, you know, as I say, take the antidepressant, take it as a point to get you back into a space where your headspace is clear enough to then take those next steps. But my big point before was, don't see it as the final solution. And that, unfortunately, at the moment, the system's set up that if we don't have the cure, if we don't have the answer, there is no answer. And I think the saddest thing I see, and we had talked about this before we started this episode, is the disempowering conversations that people are having because they're mocked for wanting to try out integrated therapies. They're told that, well, and I said it because my specialty area is eczema, right? And I've got clients who keep just getting thrown, the topical steroids, but now they're going through topical steroid withdrawal, and then they're told, well, if we don't have the answer, there is no answer. You'll have this for your whole life. And then they feel so disempowered, and all they needed was a moment with a conversation with someone like yourself or one of your, providers to go, oh, okay, actually there are other solutions. And so, people don't know what they don't know, but don't see that one pill as the final solution. Take it when and if you need, but at the same time, be open and curious to see what comes along. The one thing I'll add about the herd mentality, and what I found during the last 5 years, and you probably had the same experience, that when you follow your truth and your heart, you will find your new tribe.
Yeah.
And I've made the most amazing connections in the last 5 years. It wouldn't have been possible had I not stuck to the truth of what I knew was right for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I find now too, as my growth continues, there's another kind of layer. There's a sort of another, not dismantling, but a release in a space created for the next to come through. So yeah,
definitely.
Once that lands in your bones, it becomes a lot more gentle, but it can be pretty harsh on the nervous system to begin with. I just wanted to really share how with Heart Place Hospital, because we're for everybody, of course, because our model is if we heal, a little bit like New Zealanders will be familiar with, Eat My Lunch from years ago, and you'd buy one lunch and you knew that a child would get a lunch, and they actually supply 1.8 million free lunches in New Zealand, and it then ripple effected for the government here to then start a food program for our children. So amazing how these ripple effects, actually benefit these grassroots solutions. And same with Heart Place Hospital. So anyone can come through Heart Place Hospital, and each time they actually support themselves, they're actually supporting our frontline workers. And I want to just share one of our frontline workers who had been a specialty nurse in a specialty area in a large part of New Zealand, supporting them in burnout, because it was a conveyor belt of people just coming in, coming out. So of course you're not going to be feeling fulfilled and they make an impact. She found Heart Place Hospital. She came to several of our satellite clinics. She had some trauma healing, so somatic trauma healing. She had some work with a health coach. She took herself through a health coach program. She's now gone and retrained in the somatic trauma healing, and she's retrained as a health coach. She's gone back into the system, into her role, and she's now sharing not only just her wisdom as a clinician, but as her wisdom through her own health journey, and now with this new expertise. So we've healed her. She's gone back into the system, and now she's supporting, and the fulfillment's huge, because they're not conveyor belting. She's actually making a difference. And so she's actually really now 180, really enjoying her job again. And she's showing up in all her realness, her authenticity. And she's now got she's refound her voice. So the things that she wasn't able to tolerate, she's now speaking up to. And we've kept her expertise here in New Zealand. We've kept her in her role in here. And similarly, lots of people who've left New Zealand, they're still our service providers. So they're still providing service to New Zealanders. They might not be here anymore. Had it not been for Heart Place Hospital, we would have educated them and we would have lost them overseas. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Isn't that incredible? Like you say, it's that ripple effect and the community keeping it together and understanding that aspect of it, because a lot of our IP goes overseas, which is so sad. And, I'm just so about, you'll get this right. I've had conversations where people don't want to give people hope in the mainstream that they can recover in case they don't. And yet in my world, if I can't instill in someone a belief that there is a capacity to heal, then I'm not doing my job properly, because, whether they do or not, that's not on me either, because it's all part of the decisions they make, and maybe it's not their destiny. But if I don't fully embody and believe in their capacity to heal, and I articulate that and I instill that in them, then that ripple effect doesn't become possible, because all of a sudden this belief is one of the key aspects to being able to overcome whatever you're dealing with. And once that belief's instilled, like that specialty nurse you've mentioned, you then are so embodied in that truth that you will go out and you will put it back in and share it back out to your wider community, because it's in you now. And when you've had the lived experience like she has, then of course, you don't keep that stuff to yourself.
No, God, no.
With the heart activation, you see, part of the healing is the heart activation. So for her to go through all of that, heal the trauma, there's pain.
Place Hospital.
Yeah, freaking severe.
Yeah, there's no place like your Heart Place, that's for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you've got to, I mean, we couldn't not have a podcast without talking about activation. So, so we talk about Heart Place Hospital, that we talked about healing. I truly believe that we can offer healing to everyone, potentially not always cure, but definitely always healing. And we also talk about getting to the cellular level, which I just think is so epic, because as we know, we're so regenerative, we're self-healers. Isn't it amazing that we've got this potion that can help us get through that? Yeah. And you referred to it about oxidative stress, and I'll just give you my story. So I left the city, I left my job, I followed my soul and was doing all the things, all the nervous system regulation stuff. I've got an energy integrator, I have body work, I have energy healing, all the things, eating, all the things. But yet when I tested, I still had cortisol right through my body, right through, in fact, all the way through my nervous system. So it's been there for years and years and years. And so then I got introduced to this, and I was like, oh, okay, yep, so sure, okay, sounds good, because the evidence sounds pretty impressive. And it's been amazing. Like, I've gone from having an 80-year-old body and a 50-year-old. So I was getting up and being quite stiff in the mornings, none of that. I was having hot flushes, night sweats, insomnia. I have fatty liver disease despite not drinking alcohol or coffee. So it's reversed all that. And on the daily, I would say I get people say, wow, you're glowing. And I'm like,
that's the one.
Yeah. So that's the one. So yeah, I'd love to hear about your experience.
Oh, same. I was on the journey. Perimenopause came in like a blooming punch in the face. Couldn't lose weight, highly inflamed. I've got photos of me. I was just a big puffball. I look at it now and I can see the inflammation in my body. And I got onto this one first, the NRF2, that's the baseline. If everyone could just take that alone, they would experience, what do we say? 40% reduction in oxidative stress within 30 days, 300% increase in glutathione. I got on that. And then I watched a video. I took this during COVID to boost my immune system. And then I stopped taking it. And of course, got COVID once, had the flu once in 5 years. This is the testament to this. And then someone talked about the liquid collagen healthy glow stack together. And me now, I mean, my skin just glows. I teach 2 intense spin classes a week. I weight train. I never have any musculoskeletal pain other than the DOMS you get from training. My skin is amazing. Do you know what it is? It's the energy. I feel like I'm in my 30s, and I sleep really well. And if I do wake up in the night, I go straight. That's when I knew it was working. If I have it, and I go straight back to sleep. So if I do wake up, I'm not waking up restless legs, all of that stuff anymore. That's been the biggest thing. It's the energy and the sleep. And I've noticed too now, if I do have a crap night's sleep, whoop-de-doo, wouldn't notice it during the day because I'm sleeping so consistently now. I say to everyone now, this is the one I talk about the most, the healthy glow stack, because
You too.
that's the game changer. The collagen, this is collagen, people, and it's not taking collagen, you're making your own collagen.
Well, and this is with these as well. It's not a supplement; it's an activation of what we've already got.
Yeah.
And we're very lucky here at Heart Place Hospital. We've got Dr. Gail Pearson, who actually, yeah. So she very kindly opens her calendar up to every single visitor that we have, and supports them. So she's obviously, coming from medicine, she's very passionate about Heart Place Hospital as much as we are. So that's her gift to us. And that's the beautiful thing about Heart Place Hospital. So much in kindness that we receive. So when you do actually become curious and become a visitor of Heart Place Hospital, oh my gosh, like what you receive is phenomenal. Yeah.
On so many levels, it's all there. And the thing that people don't recognize, it's the energy of the collective. So when you step into a place that's holding the highest intention of true love and kindness and acceptance, you're actually stepping into a vortex of healing energy. I say to people, I've realized what one of the most potent aspects of people healing, and this is the same for Heart Place Hospitals, when you're stepping into the energy field of someone, your earring should be benefiting from the frequency of healing just by being in their vortex. So it's not what we do on a practical level, it's what we're sending out from an energetic, emotional level as well that helps the healing. And that's just so, you think about hospitals with, stress and stressed staff and overwhelmed doctors, and, it's not conducive to healing. There's no plants in the rooms. You're not even allowed to take flowers into hospitals anymore. It's like, and I'm not acute medicine, life-saving,
Always say, if my arm gets ripped off, I don't want to have happy thoughts and a pedicure. I really don't.
Yeah, but that's that whole coming into, and the kindness aspect, and it's an exciting time to be alive. I keep saying that, it's a really exciting time to be alive.
Oh, me too. I got front row tickets with popcorn ready. So, no, it's and it's amazing. And you're right. You're so right. Like I was sharing at a keynote speak last week. We supported 5,500 frontliners last year, and they're like, what? And I'm like, seriously? Just them knowing that someone has stepped into and done something about this is enough medicine for so many of them. Like, not everyone needs to go face to face and have a session, and so, and because our power hours and podcast series is so, we've got some really good modalities that people could just watch. They're like, oh, God, I've learnt so much from that. Thank you so much. So it's just the knowing that there is some hope merchants and some love rock stars out there. Yeah.
I love that term, hope merchant. Oh my gosh. Oh, that is brilliant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like you, we've walked the same path, same genre.
You're a producer too, aren't you?
No, I'm a big fat generator.
Are you? Oh, that's why you got that energy. Yes.
Yeah, but I've got a 2 line, so I need to hermit a lot, and then I've got a 4 line, so I'm great at connecting and collaborating. Yeah, so I truly live for my human design now. But this is what I absolutely adore about midlife. Like, you've now had the life that you were meant to live, to learn the lessons you were meant to learn, and then in midlife you can go, hey, I'm a wisdom keeper.
Yes, and embodied in it and sharing it, not keeping it to yourself either.
Definitely. And that's a lot of our healing circles that we have here physically at Heart Place Hospital and online. There's all sorts of ages, and I just adore, even the other day I was having my eyebrows done, and I said to the beautician, she's 42 and starting to experience some perimenopausal expressions, I like to call them.
I like that.
And I just said to her, babe, it is so cool. You're on a great journey. I'm totally here for you. It's going to be amazing. It's so magical. Anything you need, you just reach out, because I know it all. Not at all, but I know.
A big chunk of how to navigate this with much more ease.
And she just straight away, she was like, oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And she was sort of saying, oh, it's just that the kids are around, they're noisy. I said, yep, that's one of the expressions we like things to be a little slower and lighter. Yeah. Soft girl era.
Yeah, it is. It is, definitely. It is. And the quietness and the nature, and just saying no to the chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Sonja. I've loved this. I think we could have a Sonja and Jackie series. I really do. And but just to finish off, I just wonder if you could share how people can find you. And you're one of our service providers, so we'll be spotlighting that. And also something that's coming up in your heart place that you haven't shared already that you can share with others.
Well, I would just like to start by saying, well, you can find me on Instagram. That's my main hangout. Instagram and YouTube under my name, Sonja Courtis. I just feel so, I want to say this. Even if right now where you are feels impossible and overwhelming, I just want you to open your heart to the possibility and even call in a divine, a prayer or an invitation to be shown what else is possible for you. Because sometimes in the surrender and letting go, the answers will find their way to you. And just know and trust that you wouldn't be given anything in life that you couldn't handle. But always hold on to hope that there is a solution out there, and know that you're probably going to have to do things differently to what you've been doing now to get to that place. That, tune into my stuff online, because I talk about this all the time, about understanding that just because something hasn't worked doesn't mean there isn't a solution.
Mm. Oh, and I totally invite everyone to follow you, because you're got a plethora of
plethora of information. So many fingers and so many pies. It's quite funny.
Yeah, me too. I try and be a generator, not a Maddie Gen. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sonja. Looking forward to sharing this. And it would be an epic conversation. So thank you so much for
Yeah. Blessings to you and your amazing work, and thank you for having me on. So much gratitude.